All right. So have you ever stopped to think about how, like, good enough
Yeah.
can sometimes be like the worst possible thing,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to something as critical as anti-money laundering, right?
AML.
AML compliance in the financial services world.
Absolutely.
So we are diving into some seriously fascinating material today. And it really underscores how
Huh.
a lot of financial service providers, they kind of treat AML compliance as like just another box to check off,
Right.
like a chore on a to-do list.
Totally get that.
Right. But the thing is, and this is where it gets interesting,
Yeah.
this approach, this check-the-box mentality, it can actually come with some hidden costs,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
some serious costs that can have a really big impact on a business.
Right.
And so what makes this deep dive so intriguing is that we are not just talking about, you know,
Avoiding fines.
avoiding fines,
All
exactly.
right.
It's about understanding how being really proactive with your AML strategy can actually become like a secret weapon,
A competitive edge.
a competitive edge, a
Yeah.
way to set your business apart.
Exactly.
So the big question we're grappling with today is how do we move past this check-the-box mindset
Yeah. How do we?
and really integrate compliance into the DNA of a company?
It's a huge question. And this source material really dives deep into the pitfalls of just taking that surface level approach to AML.
Right. And it's easy to think of AML compliance as just another hoop to jump through, another regulation to check off the list.
Yeah, you just got to get through it.
Right. But this source material, it paints a very different picture.
Uh-huh.
It argues that cutting corners on AML can actually end up costing you way more in the long run
Oh, absolutely.
than you would ever save by just, doing the bare minimum.
100%.
For instance, think about all the time and resources that get wasted chasing down false alarms.
The false flags, yeah.
The false flags, right? Those things that pop up in the system that turn out to be nothing.
That's a huge time suck.
It's a huge time suck. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack.
Exactly.
Or even worse, like trying to find a specific grain of sand on a beach.
Yeah, you're never going to find it.
You're never going to find it right.
Right.
And while it might seem like just a minor inconvenience at first,
Right.
like, oh, we'll just get to it
It'll
eventually.
be fine.
It'll be fine. It can actually make a business much more vulnerable.
Way more vulnerable.
Because while your team is busy sifting through mountains of irrelevant data,
Right.
the real threats, the actual money laundering schemes, those might be slipping through the cracks.
Exactly. And the problem is that those risks, they just multiply as your business grows.
Right. It's not a static thing.
It's not static at all. It just keeps growing.
The bigger you get,
The more complex it gets.
the more complex it gets.
And those quick fixes, those Band-Aid solutions that might have worked when you were smaller, they're not going to cut it anymore.
They completely fall apart.
It's like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand.
Oh, yeah. That's a recipe for disaster.
It's a huge disaster.
And speaking of disaster, this source really highlights the existential risk that can come with a weak AML program.
Oh, yeah, this is the big one.
This is the big one, right? It only takes one slip up, even a seemingly small one, to completely shatter a company's reputation.
Gone just like that.
Especially in today's world where information travels so fast.
Oh, yeah, it's instant. There's
Instant-
social media and everything.
Think about it from a consumer's perspective. Would you trust a company with your money?
No way.
If they had a history of letting money laundering slip through the cracks?
I wouldn't. No way.
Especially in those newer industries you mentioned, like fintech or the crypto world.
Right, where trust is absolutely paramount.
It's everything.
It's everything.
One little hit to your reputation, and it's over.
It's over. You're done.
It can be a death blow to the whole business.
It really makes you wonder why more companies don't prioritize AML from the get-go.
Right.
I mean, I get it. There are pressures, budget constraints,
Yeah.
competing priorities,
Mhm.
staffing issues.
Oh, yeah. There's always something.
There's always something.
Always a fire to put out. But this source makes a very compelling argument that the illusion of doneness when it comes to AML that can be incredibly dangerous.
Oh, yeah, it's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's like thinking you're safe when you're really not.
Exactly. And sometimes it almost makes you think that it's better to not do something at all
Oh, really?
than to do it poorly.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
But I do agree that this source makes a really strong case for taking a more proactive approach to AML.
Okay. I like that.
It might mean investing more upfront,
Right.
but the benefits in the long run,
Yeah.
they far outweigh the costs.
They totally do. So let's talk about those benefits.
Yeah, well, let's dive in.
How does a robust AML program actually translate into real-world advantages for a company?
Let's go back to your analogy of trying to find that grain of sand on the beach.
Okay.
Imagine if instead of using your bare hands, you had this super powerful metal detector.
Okay. Yeah.
that could pinpoint exactly where that grain of sand was buried.
Okay, I like that.
That's kind of what sophisticated AML technology can do for your business.
Oh, wow.
Instead of wasting all that time and energy on false alarms,
Yeah.
you can leverage tools like AI and machine learning.
Wow, those are powerful tools.
They are they can analyze massive amounts of data in the blink of an eye and give you insights that help you zero in on the real threats.
So enhanced efficiency is a big one.
Huge.
But I'm guessing that also leads to more sustainable growth.
Well, exactly.
Probably.
You got it.
Yeah.
By building a solid AML program on a rock-solid foundation, one that uses the right tech and has the right expertise,
Huh.
you're essentially creating a system of defenses that can grow and evolve right alongside your business.
Yeah, it's like future-proofing your business in a way.
It is. It gives you ongoing protection and that peace of mind that lets you focus on what you do best.
Right, and that's invaluable as you scale up.
Absolutely.
And here's something that I think might surprise a lot of people. Strong AML compliance can actually be a competitive advantage.
Oh, it absolutely can. In today's world where financial regulations are constantly changing and becoming more complex, being able to prove that you have a strong AML program, that can be a real differentiator.
Interesting.
It builds trust with your customers.
Uh-huh.
It attracts investors who see you as a safe and reliable bet.
Makes sense.
And it reduces your overall risk profile.
So it's not just about playing defense.
Not at all.
It's about gaining a strategic advantage.
There are even cases where companies have won business specifically because of their robust AML program.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's like they're saying, hey, we take this seriously, and that makes us the better choice.
It really flips the script on how we traditionally view compliance.
It does.
So how do we get there? How can companies shift from that reactive box-checking approach to a proactive strategic one?
Okay, so this source lays out a really clear roadmap.
Does it?
Yeah, and the first step, and this is probably the most important one, is education.
Education.
We have to educate everyone from the top executives
Right.
down to every single team member.
So it's a company-wide initiative.
It has to be, everybody needs to understand why AML matters.
Why it's important.
And it's not just about blindly following the rules.
Right.
It's about protecting the business itself, its reputation, its future.
So it's about connecting it to the bigger picture.
Exactly, making it real for people.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But education on its own isn't enough, is it?
You're right. You need more than just education. You also need to create an environment of open dialogue.
Open dialogue.
Companies need to actively encourage employees to speak up about AML challenges.
To not be afraid to raise concerns.
Exactly, to share their ideas and to work together to find solutions.
So it's about breaking down those silos.
Yeah, getting rid of those barriers.
And fostering a culture of transparency.
Transparency is key.
And of course, we can't forget about technology.
Oh, technology is a game changer.
Yeah.
But it's not just about having the shiniest, newest tools.
Right, it's about using them effectively.
Exactly. It's about using technology strategically to turn all that raw data into actionable insights.
Insights that can actually drive better decision-making and more effective risk mitigation.
It's about giving your team the tools they need to stay ahead of the curve.
So it sounds like the key takeaway here is that AML compliance shouldn't be seen as this isolated, burdensome task.
No, it's got to be woven into the very fabric of the business.
Integrated into everything you do.
Exactly. It's about moving past that checkbox mentality and embracing a more proactive, strategic approach.
It's about seeing AML as an opportunity, not an obstacle.
And that brings us to a final thought for you, dear listener. In a world that is becoming increasingly reliant on financial technology, how can embracing AML innovation become a competitive advantage rather than just another cost of doing business?
Something to think about.
Definitely something to ponder.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.
See you then.